What's up, Falcons fans? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, rise up. I do want to go ahead and talk about a couple things that I've seen this week and also talk about the game that we have coming up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which will be this Thursday, our last preseason game. The first thing that I want to talk about is the kicker that we acquired. If you watched my last video, I talked about Giorgio Tavecchio and his struggles, and that we needed to go ahead and bring on another younger kicker just to challenge him, and so we can have a competition. So that Giorgio Tavecchio didn't automatically think that he basically had a spot on the team or on the 53-man roster. And sure enough, what happened on Sunday or Monday of this week? We brought in another kicker. So I've been around the Falcons for a very long time as far as watching and as a fan, and I've been around football and watching football for a very long time. So I figured that's what Coach Dan Quinn would do, and I'm glad that he followed my advice, or that he went ahead and did what I thought he would do and brought in some competition. Now, I have seen a couple videos of Blair Walsh, and he's been missing kicks in practice. So if you watch my last video, I did say that I believe that Giorgio Tavecchio would eventually win the kicking competition, which will take place this week and will take place in this Thursday game where we take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. It will be a kicking competition. Blair Walsh will get his tries or his attempts at making this team by taking field goals and extra points, and Giorgio Tavecchio will get his chance to kick field goals and extra points, and may the best man win. Now, like I said, I believe that Giorgio Tavecchio will eventually make this team. I do believe that he's the better kicker, because we all remember the blunder with Blair Walsh against the Seattle Seahawks when he played for the Vikings, missing like a chip shot from like 20 yards out. And we don't want to see that here in Atlanta or for our Atlanta Falcons. But I do believe that Giorgio Tavecchio did need a kick in the behind or a kick in the butt, just to realize whatever was going on with in his mind or whatever in his leg or in his foot, he needed to get it together. So I'm glad that Dan Quinn made it abundantly clear to him that it's time for Giorgio Tavecchio to get it together. Or if not, he will be cut just like any other player on this team, that this is a competition and we will cut you if you don't make improvements. So like I said, I'm a fan of everybody on that's repping the red and black. Every player that we have, I wish nothing but the best. Now, I do believe that Giorgio Tavecchio will win the spot. It's a couple other things that I want to talk about in news as far as our Atlanta Falcons against the Jaguars in this next game that we're playing, which is our last preseason game, and this is our 5th preseason game. I don't know if our starters will get any snaps. If they do get some snaps, meaning Matt Ryan and our number one offense and our offensive line, I do want to see how well our offensive line plays. As you know, this week also, Caleb McGarry did come back from his heart condition, and he's been cleared for full contact. So he has been at practice. He has been practicing. I did watch his interview where he was talking about he needs to get back in shape, in football shape, because he hasn't been able to do any exercise. He hasn't been able to do any contact drills for the last 2 to 3 weeks because he was dealing with the heart condition that he had. I do wish him nothing but the best as far as his health, and I hope that he has a clean board of health at this going forward, meaning that he doesn't deal with any more injuries, especially not any conditions with his heart, because we know heart conditions are serious, and we don't want to see any early retirements due to health-related incidents. So I hope that from this point on, he has a clean bill of health. As you know, he is a rookie. We just drafted him in the 1st round this year. So I wish him and his family nothing but the best. But as far as this game coming up, I hope that he gets a chance to show what he can do at the right tackle spot. We've seen what Tyler Sombralo can do. We've seen what Matt Gano could do last week, and he didn't look too bad as well. But I want to see if Caleb McGarry can step up, and we can see what he can do, and he can show why he was taken in the 1st round out of Washington University. Now, I did go back and watch last game just to see how well Matt Gano played, and Matt Gano did play very well, or he played decent last week. He looked better in run blocking than pass blocking, which it's a lot easier to run block than pass protect. But he didn't look too bad for someone who has never started in the NFL. He does look like he's developing, which is good news. I don't know exactly when Tyson Brylo will be back. I believe he will be back for the first game, and I do believe that Tyson Brylo will start against the Minnesota Vikings in Week 1. As y'all know, we're about a week away from the NFL season. I am very excited about this season, and I will be doing another video probably next week about what I think our record will be, and I will go down the line and talk about all of the different teams that we take on this year and what I think our record will end up being at the end of the year, whether we make the playoffs, whether we make the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking about doing a video where I'm going to talk about every division and who will win the division. So y'all definitely leave some comments on the below to let me know if you would like me not to just break down the Falcons schedule, but also I may not break down every other team's schedule, but I will break down like who I believe will win each division, as far as like AFC East, AFC North, NFC East, NFC North, NFC West, and so on and so forth. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue to talk about the Atlanta Falcons in this preseason game. I want to see in this preseason game not only our offensive line gain some cohesiveness. As I said before, when you add anybody to the offensive line, it is like a dance. You all have to be in lockstep when it comes to offensive linemen. So I will be watching our offensive line and want to see how well Caleb McGarry fits in with the other guys. I also will be watching the running back position. As you know, Brian Hill and Quadra Olison have been battling it out for that third running back spot. Personally, I believe that Brian Hill deserves the third running back spot so far. To me, he's put on the best effort here in camp, and he has played the best here in the preseason. And that's just me personally, and that's out of the whole Atlanta Falcons team. Out of him and Jermaine Grace, they would be my MVPs as far as who's improved the most, who showed the most in preseason and in camp. To me, it's been Jermaine Grace and it's been Brian Hill. I also like Quadra Olison. We did just draft him this year, and I believe that he's a promising running back as well. And he has a large ceiling or a high ceiling, as some people would say. Well, he still has room to improve, as well as Brian Hill has room to improve. But from the first time that we've drafted Brian Hill till now is like day and night. He has shown improvement in his catching ability and his running ability, as far as running through tackles and running through contact. And he has also improved his protection, as far as blocking for the quarterback in passing plays. So personally, if we only keep one of the two, Brian Hill or Quadra Olison, I would keep Brian Hill. And the reason I say that is because Brian Hill has been on the practice squad for, I believe, 2 to 3 years. And you can't place a player back on the practice squad after they've been on the practice squad for 3 years. So that means we would actually have to cut him. Whereas Quadra Olison, if we decide that we're not going to carry all of the running backs, meaning all 4 of those running backs, then we could possibly put Quadra Olison on our practice squad, where we will still be able to keep Brian Hill and keep Quadra Olison. But if you look at my last video from last Friday, I did have on my 53-man roster 5 running backs, because Kenyon Barner, I had him making a 53-man roster. And I believe he's listed as a running back as well, even though he's just a return specialist. But I had Freeman making the team, Edo Smith making the team, Brian Hill making the team, Quadra Olison making the team, and Kenyon Barner making the team. Mainly, I had Barner just making it just as the special teams like specialist, as far as running back kicks and punts. But as far as our running back unit, I had us having 4 running backs, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. Some people may say that's overkill as far as having that many running back on the 53-man roster. But if some of those running backs can play special teams, I don't think that it's overkill. And also, we have to remember that as much as, knock on wood, Freeman has had like season-ending injuries and a lot of injuries within the last 2 to 3 years, So I'm wishing Freeman nothing but the best. Knock on wood, like I said, I pray that he doesn't get hurt again this season because I believe that Freeman is a great player. He's one of my favorite players on the Falcons, to be honest with you, just because he loves the game of football and he's just a rare talent when it comes to the field at the running game, as far as making cuts and things of that nature, and his explosiveness. To me, Freeman, when he's healthy, is a top 5 running back in the NFL. When he's healthy, if you go back and look at 2016 and 2015, Freeman was a dominant running back. And it shows up on any talk show you watch. I don't care who you watch, or any NFL, like NFL Network, any of the channels you watch. When they talk about Devontae Freeman, it's always about, they talk about his health first. It's never about how good of a talent he is. Devontae Freeman is a top talent in this league when he's healthy. His whole thing is just staying healthy. So I do pray that he stays healthy this year. But if he doesn't stay healthy for any reason, if we do decide to keep 4 running backs, that would definitely be a help if we happen to lose him, meaning the running game won't take a huge dramatic drop off if he is hurt. Moving on to something else, what else I'll be looking for in this next game is just the guys that are on the bubble that's trying to make the team. As far as Jermaine Grace, Duke Riley, I did see a lot out of them. I feel like Jermaine Grace have already solidified his position, but you never know what the coaches are thinking. So I really think in my 53-man roster, I had Bruce Carter on the outside looking in. But I believe the 3 guys that are on the bubble as far as linebacker that I'll be watching against the Jaguars is Bruce Carter, Duke Riley, and Jermaine Grace. Now, I feel like Jermaine Grace has already kind of solidified his spot, but Duke Riley and Bruce Carter really need to turn up. The pressure is really turning up on those 2 guys, so they're going to really need to show their stuff in this next game. They're going to need to leave it all out there on the field. I believe that Duke Riley had a better game than Bruce Carter. In his last game, he did make a lot of tackles on the goal line. He made some crucial tackles, surprisingly. So I'm glad that it looks like Duke Riley is developing. I would like to see him play a little bit more just as a regular linebacker, not just in goal line packages. So we're going to see in this next game, because I believe a lot of the starters won't see a lot of time in this next game, maybe just one or two series, and then they probably will be done for the night because we're so close to the regular season. So I will be watching to see how Duke Riley looks in pass coverage, how Bruce Carter looks in pass coverage, how Jermaine Grace looks in pass coverage, and how they do against the run. Are they shedding blocks? Are they making tackles? Are they missing tackles? I'll be watching all of that, because those 3 guys I feel like are on the bubble and on the cusp of possibly making the team. If it was up to me right now, I feel like Jermaine Grace is already kind of locked up his spot. But I feel like out of Duke Riley and Bruce Carter, I feel like Duke Riley right now is leading, meaning in his chances of making the team. I'm leaning towards Duke Riley, and I believe that Bruce Carter is on the border of being cut. So he better show us stuff in this next game. As far as the wide receivers, if they play, as far as the starters, I just want to see maybe 1 or 2 series out of our starters, just to see if we can go down and just get a quick touchdown and just show, and Matt Ryan can just show, and the offensive line can just show that they're in mid-season form, or they're getting ready and they're kind of polished a little bit, look a little bit more polished. If they don't get any playing time, it's also fine with me. Out of the wide receivers who I'll be watching, Justin Hardy again. I feel like he's another player that's on the bubble. Zacchaeus, he's on the bubble. Pretty much all of those guys. Gray is on the bubble. All of them guys, I want to see what they got. This is their last chance to prove why they deserve to be on this spot, deserve a spot on this team. So I will be watching all of those guys to see what they got. As far as quarterbacks, I feel like Matt Schaub has already pretty much solidified the backup spot, just because Danny Etling didn't have much time. We brought him on like last week, and he played last week. If you watched, he was number 1. He did pretty good. He was more mobile than I thought more mobile than I thought he was, and he didn't look too bad. It just looked like he really didn't know the playbook, and he really didn't have time to learn the playbook, to be honest. So I'm gonna be watching Matt Schaub just to see how polished he looks. Hopefully, we won't have to ever use him in an emergency situation. Hopefully, Matt Ryan stays healthy. Knock on wood. Um, as far as the secondary, I will be watching Isaiah Oliver. I want to see improvement out of Isaiah Oliver. He is shown that he can stay with the wide receivers. I just want to see him go for the ball a little bit more, meaning turn his head when the ball is coming. Turn his head. Don't try to face guard the receiver. Stay with the receiver and try to make the pick or try to deflect the ball. I will be watching that because the live bullets will be coming week 1 against Minnesota, because Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are no joke. So if Trufant is holding down one side of the field, they will be throwing at Isaiah Oliver all day and all night. So I do want to see Isaiah Oliver step his game up. He hasn't looked bad in the preseason. I don't want you to get me wrong. I love all of our Falcon players. I just want him to step up, show us what he got. And this goes for all of the guys on our defense, but especially Isaiah Oliver. I'll be watching him and I'll be watching him mainly because I know week 1 is coming. It's fastly approaching, and Minnesota likes to throw the ball to the outside. And if they can't throw the ball towards Trufant, they're going to have to try to take advantage of Isaiah Oliver. And Isaiah Oliver is going to have to step up to the plate. I feel like a lot of Atlanta Falcons fans, we really don't know what to expect out of Isaiah Oliver. I hear nothing but good things. But to me personally, we really won't be able to get a great assessment of how good of a player Isaiah Oliver is until week 1 when we take on the Minnesota Vikings. But if he can show me a little bit of something in against Jacksonville this week against the Jaguars, I'll be happy. That's pretty much it. It's not too many more things I'll be watching. I mean, of course, I'll be watching the defensive line. I'm hearing a lot out of, at least coming from our Atlanta Falcons fans and things of that nature out of the Falcons camp, is that Zimmer, which is one of the nose tackles, and Deidre Sanat, it was a lot of rumors going around that he was on the trading block and stuff like that. But I feel like after the last game, Deidre Sanat kind of solidified his spot on the team, meaning I think Zimmer, it might be a wrap for Zimmer. Unless Zimmer does something really special in his next game, I don't think that he's making the roster. And I did have Deidre Sanat making his team because he did have a pressure on the quarterback and would have been a borderline, it was a borderline sack, to be honest. But it basically was just a rush on the quarterback, and he caused the interception, which Takk McKinley got last game because of his pressure on the quarterback, which was almost a sack. So personally, I think that Zimmer will be cut, but I hear a lot of people saying that Zimmer is like one of the players that Dan Quinn loves. I don't know why he loves him, but everybody says that pretty much that's one of Dan Quinn's guys. So hopefully that doesn't have any effect on who they decide to keep, because like I said before, may the best man win. And in this case, to me, Zimmer really hasn't shown me much in this preseason or training camp. To me, Deidre Sanat has, every time he gets the opportunity, he kind of flashes off the screen and he makes a play. So that's pretty much all I have for y'all today, Atlanta Falcon fans. Falcon fans, as always, rise up. Tell your friends to come check out the channel as always. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your Atlanta Falcon fans friends about the page, please. If you're an NFL fan, please just come check out the page. I won't only be talking about Atlanta Falcons, but I'll be talking about all the Atlanta Falcons opponents. And this Thursday at 7 o'clock, I will be on Facebook Live, and I will be doing another broadcast of the game. We had a great time last Thursday. I was in there talking to the fans, other Falcon fans, Redskin fans. So I'm assuming this time it'll be Jacksonville Jaguar fans in my chat or in my live stream. So please come check it out. It's always fun. I'll be in there answering questions about the game. I'll be answering any questions you may have about football in general or maybe about your team. And I also will be going ahead and just broadcasting the game, telling y'all what's going on during the game while I watch the game. And I will be giving any breakdowns of what I'm seeing going on in the game. But like I said, as always, rise up. God bless on this Tuesday. Enjoy your Tuesday. And as always, peace.